Hello, I'm John McBride. Thank you for joining me today to discuss the Kumano Kodo pilgrimage. Today's presentation deals with just the three destinations of the Kumano Kodo. Kumano is the ancient name for the southern region of the Kii Peninsula, a sacred site steeped in mystery and legend. Kumano's rich natural landscape is believed to be the otherworldly abode of the gods and has been the focus of pilgrimage and spiritual training for centuries. The area is associated with the Yomi no Kuni, the mythical land of the dead, as well as with Buddhist celestial paradises. In Japan's oldest written chronicles, it is described as the burial place of Izanami, one of Japan's creator deities, and features in the epic tale of Jimmu Tenno, the legendary founder of Japan's imperial line. I have used the early modern guidebook, the Saigoku Sanju Sansho Meisho Zue, the illustrated guide to the Saigoku 33 Kannon pilgrimage, published in 1853. It includes about 30% of the book is illustrations and includes magnificent illustrations, including this one of the Hana no Iwa, the mythical burial location of Izanami. Kumano Sanzan is representative of the syncretic nature of Japanese religion, open to all, welcoming to women, oblivious to class, and with a strong background in Shugendo nature worship. So allow me to share my screen. Today, we look at online resources and location, and then introduce the Kumano Sanzan Trinity. Kumano Sanzan refers to a set of three grand shrines located in the southeastern part of the Kii mountain range. They are collectively the destination of the pilgrimage to Kumano and are the Kumano Hongu Taisha, Kumano Hayatama Taisha, and Kumano Nachi Taisha. This approach map to the three main shrines of Kumano looks complex, so let me help you decipher it. There are two main approach trails to the Kumano area of the Kii Peninsula. First is the Kiiji route in yellow, which travels from Kyoto down the Yodo River to Osaka, and then past 99, meaning many, small spiritual preparation shrines called Oji. This was the route taken by most aristocrats in the 12th century when they undertook imperial pilgrimage to Kumano. The second route is the Iseji route. This was often taken as the return journey by many aristocrats in the 12th century, and sections of it could be sailed. Iseji was also taken as an extension by pilgrims to Ise or pilgrims on the 33 Kannon pilgrimage, the first temple of which is located at the Kumano Nachi Grand Shrine. The famous route, which most international visitors walk, is the Nakahechi route. It is part of the Kiiji Imperial Route and crosses the Kii Peninsula mountains along their ridgelines, and so is comparatively easy to walk. The Kohechi route is the route for commoners and pilgrims to Koyasan. I deal with Koyasan in a separate YouTube, so please subscribe and enjoy. Kohechi is against the ridgelines of the mountains as it travels southeast from Koyasan and involves 5 challenging ascents over mountain passes associated with mountains that are 2,500 meters high. As the Nakahechi has filled with international visitors, some walking visitors are choosing this route as a less crowded option. The Omine Okugake Michi is the original ascetic training path from Yoshino to Kumano for Shugendo practitioners. It is a very dangerous route and should not be undertaken without a Yamabushi guide and experience in technical climbing. And finally, there is the often ignored Ohechi route, which is an enjoyable walk along the bottom coastline of the Kii Peninsula. I have YouTubes published about all these routes, and so please subscribe and enjoy. A thumbs up is always greatly appreciated. Today, we visit the destinations of these World Heritage listed routes, the Grand Shrines located at Hongu, Hayatama Grand Shrine at Shingu, and the Nachi Grand Shrine located at Nachi Waterfall. A very useful resource is the Tanabe City Tourism Bureau's website. Download all their excellent maps, and given enough notice, they will book accommodation for you and arrange luggage forwarding services. So a self-guided walk is very easy. And their Kumano Kodo handbook, I would argue, is essential. Getting there is enjoyable, if not a long way. JR services the peninsula with 2 trains, one from Osaka on the Kiji route and one from Nagoya on the Iseji route. I'm often delighted when I see how our modern transport facilities so closely align with the old roads and pilgrimage routes which have existed for millennia. Our first visit is to Hongu Grand Shrine. Hongu Grand Shrine stood at Oyunohara, an island in the middle of the Kumano River. The manifestation of the deity of Hongu is the Kumano River. Pilgrims would ablute as they approached the island by walking across the river. In the case of Shugendo mountain ascetics approaching from Yoshino, there was no choice but to cross the river on foot. This is my walking buddy Craig and I crossing the river after completing the Omine Okugake Michi from Yoshino to Hongu. Today, flood protection embankments have shielded about 25% of the shoreline of the island, and in doing so has linked the island to the mainland. The shrine is depicted in the Saigoku Sanju Sankasho Meisho Zue, the illustrated guide to the Saigoku 33 Kannon pilgrimage, published in 1853, and includes the small landing where Craig and I stepped out of the Kumano River. Our guide shows us accurately the arrangement of shrines at Hongu. These are the shrines before the complex was washed away by a severe typhoon in 1889. The flooding was not unusual. On a regular basis, floods washed away undergrowth to encourage the growth of huge trees on the island, which provide an otherworldly atmosphere. Timber from the wreckage of the 1889 floods was salvaged, and 5 of the 13 deities are housed in shrines located up the hill from the river next to the final preparatory sub-shrine called Haraido Oji. This is me and my walking buddy David. Craig Mod has taken this photo from outside the final gate of the shrine area, from which photographs are allowed. And I would ask visitors to refrain from photography within the final sacred area. Back on Oyunohara, some solid concrete small shrines house the remaining 8 deities who could not be housed up on the hill. The photo does not well describe the growth of the huge trees behind these small structures, above which the crows seem to love to hover. The largest torii gate in Japan was built at the entrance to Oyunohara, and this adds to this soaring atmosphere. here again, Craig and I are just completing the week-long Omine Okugake Michi, looking very happy that the walk is over, but totally exhausted. Our illustrated guide shows a second view of Oyunohara, this time from the opposite side, with the Otonashi River flowing past the island. In the late Edo period, a small bridge linked Oyunohara with the mainland. This bridge survives today on the Otonashi River, although last time I crossed, it too had been damaged by a major typhoon in 2022. Prior to this to 2022, there was a devastating typhoon number 12 in 2011, which resulted in 82 deaths, many in the Hongu and Nachi areas. I have translated the Otonashi River as the river with no sound. It is a tributary to the Kumano River and, as we now know, drains into the Kumano River at Oyunohara. The name perhaps derives from the mythology that the river becomes silent when pilgrims of great dedication pray next to it. Indeed, the Nakahechi Trail of Kumano Kodo follows it for a day before arriving at Hongu. In 2016, I guided a group of Japanese artists and Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australian artists and Italian and UK artists on the Kumano Kodo. The amazing Daniel Browning, who is with the National Broadcasting Company of Australia, the ABC, produced a beautiful radio program as we walked along the Nakahechi, and he called it The River of No Sound, and it can be listened to on this podcast. The UNESCO World Heritage Kumano Hongu Visitor Center stands at the bottom of the steps from the Hongu Grand Shrine and at the entrance to Oyunohara, which is off to the right. Volunteer guides are happy to provide interpretation, starting at the Hongu Taisha Grand Shrine Mandala. Mandala are diagrams which make religious concepts easier to understand. They are aids to worship and a principal support for the propagation of the Kumano faith. Nuns, called bhikkhuni nuns, would take these magnificent mandala with them on travels all over Japan to drum up interest in and financial support for Kumano. This nun is using the Hayatama mandala. There are mandala associated with all three Kumano Sanzan sites. On the left is the Hongu mandala with the Otonashi River and the Kumano rivers surrounding it, and the little bridge which we just visited over the Otonashi River. The middle one is the Hayatama Mandala with the Kumano River and the annual February Fire Festival taking place in the top left-hand corner. And on the right is the magnificent Nachi Mandala, which we will look at in great detail in a moment. The Visitor Centre also provides commemorative badges if you complete the only other UNESCO World Heritage listed pilgrimage, which is the Camino de Santiago in Spain. There are certain conditions which you must meet to prove that you have completed both to receive the badge. The easiest way is to use the dual pilgrimage stamp book and ensure you have the correct stamps from the correct locations. My photograph here was taken in Spain when I completed walking the Camino de Santiago Francés from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. The displays include information about Yamabushi, the mountain ascetic guides who guided pilgrims along the approach paths to Hongu, blowing their conch shells, as you can see in the illustrated guide. This type of Shugendo mountain ascetic training continues today out along the Omine Okugake Michi and at Dewa Sanzan in the north of Japan, in Yamagata Prefecture. This is where I undertake my Shugendo training. This training is on the occasion of the Akinomine Iri, the autumn peak of Haguro Shrine. Another important type of mandala is the Suijaku type of mandala, which demonstrates the syncretic nature of Buddhism and Shintoism on Kumano. An excellent example is owned by the Cleveland Museum of Art. The artwork presents the deity at each Kumano Sanzan in the form it assumed in nature, the Nachi waterfall. Sorry, my head's in the way there. The Kotobiki Iwa rock and the Kumano River. And the landscape mandala is syncretic, reconciling the Shinto expression of nature with images of the Buddhas manifested in the Shinto deities. You see the Buddhas associated with each shrine in circles. There is also a copy of the priest Ippen Shonin's illustrated scroll of his visit to Kumano in the visitor center. Ippen Shonin is one of Japan's famous holy figures and the founder of the Jishu school of Pure Land Buddhism, which is intimately connected to Kumano. The scroll was written by Ippen's disciple Shokai and illustrated by Ippen's disciple Enni in 1299. There are 12 scrolls in this original version. The copy here is of scroll 3 when Ippen visits Kumano. Ippen Shonin was known as the wayfaring saint and a saint of abandonment because he never settled in one place and his teachings were focused upon the idea of entrusting oneself totally to the Buddha. One could be saved simply by relying on the otherworldly power of Amida, the Buddha of infinite light, by reciting the Nembutsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, homage to Amida Buddha. His ecstatic dancing, incantations, and preaching won great popular support and helped make Buddhism accessible to the common people. This image is of crowds undertaking his ecstatic dancing from scroll 7 when he visits Kyoto. The original of this scroll is held by the Tokyo National Museum. This video describes how the dancers rotate to the right.
次週の、まず衣なんですけども、上下はですね、今でもネズミ色の衣を着ることになっております。
Stoop over in what is called Kannon back.
こんな感じでですね、それやっております。
Stoop. And they perform steps in a particular way as they attend to approach the Amida Buddha. Religious associations continue the dance today. Here we see Ippen. Many copies of the scrolls were made, and this one is a clearer image of scroll 3, dealing with Ippen's visit to Kumano. This is Ippen meeting the Kumano Gongen. A Gongen is an avatar in Shinto form, representing the Buddha, in this case, Amida Buddha. This meeting occurred in the mountains along the Nakahechi section of the Kumano Kodo pilgrimage route. Ippen Shonin encountered the Kumano deity in the form of a monk. Ibn Shonin tried to give him an amulet, but the holy emanation refused to receive it on the grounds that he could not feel the depth of Ibn Shonin's faith. This incident deeply troubled Ibn Shonin regarding the concept of faith in his beliefs. At Kumano Hongu Taisha, the Kumano deity appeared to Ibn Shonin again in the form of a Yamabushi mountain ascetic who told him, living beings do not attain Pure Land rebirth through your teachings, for all of that was settled in the very instant that Amida Buddha gained perfect enlightenment 10 eons ago. You should distribute your amulets to everyone, regardless of how faithful or faithless, pure or impure they are. With this divine revelation, Ibn Shonin gained enlightenment. From Hongu, Ibn travelled down the Kumano River by boat, which is still available at least for about half of the journey to visitors today. Thanks to these very accurate drawings, we have a good idea of how this practice was undertaken in the 13th century and is replicated exactly as Ibn depicted in his scroll. Ibn alighted at Shingu in front of the Hayatama Grand Shrine of Kumano, exactly as you will on the boat trip. He then travels down the coast to Nachi Waterfall on the left side there and visits the Nachi Grand Shrine adjacent to the waterfall. From these illustrations, we have an accurate picture of how the shrine looked 700 years ago, almost exactly as they do today. Pilgrims today complete the circuit by visiting Yunomine hot springs. The springs are about 1 hour's walk from Hongu and 2 days' walk on to Nachi. The ablution bath at Yunomine is called the Tsubonoyu, and it sits in the middle of the river, which runs hot with boiling mineral waters. It is the only World Heritage listed bathtub in the world. Tokoji Temple stands at the site of the source of the hot springs. The object of worship is the Yakushi Nyorai, the medicine Buddha. In this case, the object of worship is naturally formed mineral deposits from the spring waters on the right there. And you can almost see the face of the medicine Buddha in the mineral deposits. Tokoji is depicted in our guidebook. Tokoji, the characters are the Eastern Light Temple. A larger public bath has stood next door to the temple since the Edo period. Our guide clearly shows a men's bath, a women's bath next door, and then a much stronger medicinal bath. To my disappointment, it also shows a bath for outcasts, which slightly goes against our statement that Kumano ignores caste. And this is how the new bathhouse was recreated exactly without, of course, the despicable bath dedicated to the lowest class in Japanese society. Of course, we hope that Japanese society today is equal. At least we're working towards that. Accommodation facilities surround these baths and temple. Azuma is a favorite and is very well regarded. Our illustrated guide depicts this type of inn and describes it in great detail. My poor translation is You can read there, inns surround the hot springs and provide rooms of all sizes to visitors from near and far wishing to take of the recuperative waters. It is indescribable how busy the town is as visitors from all provinces of Japan come and go to the hot spring water bathing facilities. Most of the visitors these days are from international destinations. In the town street, men are selling seasonal food and women are selling souvenirs, and others are enticing visitors to stay at their inn. Visitors, young and old alike, fill in their time in the inns between baths by reading books, playing shamisen, or enjoying recitations of joruri plays, or listening to kouta, local songs, or playing go drafts, or shogi chess, or sugoroku board games played with dice. They want for absolutely nothing. It is truly a wonderful location, bustling like you have never seen before, deep in the mountain valley. And it pretty accurately describes Yunomiya today. The rooms at Azumaya are traditional, and meals are delicious. These are the appetizers for dinner and main courses of cooked fish and local beef. Next, we visit Hayatama Shrine, Grand Shrine at Shingu. We already saw Hayatama Shrine in Ippen's illustrated scroll, exactly as it stands today. Hayatama's deity's natural manifestation is a touchstone boulder and nearby mountain. The rock is called Kotobiki Iwa. It is worshipped at the Kamikura Shrine, located on the west side of Shingu City. The shrine sits on top of the 120-meter high Mount Kamikura. It is thought that all the gods of Kumano first came to earth at this location, and so it is also referred to as the Kumano Kompon Daigongen, or manifestation of the foundation deities of Kumano. The two deities celebrated here in festival are the father of Kumano shrine priests, Takakura Jinomikoto, and Amaterasu no Omikoto, the sun goddess. The annual fire festival is conducted on 6 February and involves 2,500 male Shinto parishioners known as Noboriko, carrying fire torches, running at top speed down the steep staircase. The challenging staircase of 538 steep steps is well depicted in our illustrated guide. It is a rite of passage for young male locals to participate in the fire festival. Non-locals may also participate with an introduction, and you must procure the correct attire. Noboriko spend the day eating only white food and abluting in the river and oceans. A single tie of this thick straw rope around one's belly means one has scores to settle and you're up for a fight. I can assure you I made sure I had the rope tied around my belly as many times as possible. I think I got 5 ties around, which means I'm not up for a fight. These photos are from 1993, the first time I participated in the festival. At 7 p.m. on the night of 6th of February, the depths of winter, the abluted or cleansed males, or Noboriko, climb the steep staircase and are locked inside the gated torii gate of Kamikura Shrine. This is the only torii gate in Japan with a lockable gate. Priests introduce the sacred flame to the compound at 7:30 p.m. and there is a fight to get one's torch lit. There is then a wait while smoke and burning cinders rain down upon the Noboriko. I received serious burns to my back this evening. That's me on the left, troubled by the smoke. Finally, at 8 p.m., the gates are flung open and the young men at the front surge forward, running at top speed down the 538 steps. The old men and me wait up the back and walk down carefully. The first one down becomes the hero of the Shingu town for the year. The following footage is taken by a festival marshal.
川口です、どうぞ。
Actually
今、上り小市場に行きました。
reporting on the progress. He's urging front runners to take care.
どうぞ。
Tens of ambulances wait at the bottom to deal with broken bones and burns. The marshal yells, "Yukkuri, yukkuri, slow down."
気をつけてゆっくり。
And abunai, abunai, it's dangerous.
気をつけて。
気をつけて。
危ないで。はい、ゆっくりゆっくり、危ない危ない。
The marshal is a local, kind person and known to many people. This year there were 1,700 participants.
はい、ゆっくり、危ない危ない危ない危ない。 大丈夫か。大丈夫か。一番来たぞ。はい、大丈夫、オッケー。よいしょ。はい、ゆっくりゆっくりゆっくり。シンジゆっくり。シンジ。ゆっくり。
He knows many of them.
ゆっくりゆっくり。
All right. 6th of February. It's an amazing visit. Our final visit is to the Kumano Grand Shrine at Nachi. That's the Kumano Nachi Grand Shrine at the Nachi waterfall. We'll use the Nachi mandala as our guide to the approach. This pilgrimage mandala presents a panoramic view of the Nachi shrine. As I mentioned, the mandalas were popular in the Edo period, when bhikkhuni nuns would take them around the country to promote the act of pilgrimage to Kumano. Within the shrine's grounds are more than 50 structures and nearly 200 statues that offer the viewer a guided tour of the places and practices of the Kumano pilgrimage. Following the path of the white-clad pilgrims depicted in the painting, the viewer progresses by a circuitous route, ascending gradually from sea level to mountain peak. The famous Nachi Falls cascade in the upper right. We start at the bottom right of the mandala. Our pilgrims pass their final Edo period checkpoint, show their travel permits, and arrive at one of their final Oji sub-shrines. Oji are subsidiary shrines of the Kumano Grand Shrines that line the Kumano Kodo to protect and guide pilgrims. These shrines house the child deities of Kumano and serve as places of both worship, rest, and preparatory ablution. They acted as places of mental preparation for the approach to the sacred areas of the shrines. In this case, the Hamanomiya Oji is contained within the Kumano Sansho Omiya Wayashiro Shrine. Adjacent to the shrine is the Fudaraku Sanji temple. The temple is known for Fudaraku Tokai, or crossing the ocean to Kannon's paradise of the south. A model of one of the Fudaraku Tokai boats is in the temple museum. This practice saw numerous priests and one famous warrior committing ritual suicide by being locked inside the shrine on the boat, taken out to sea and left to drift. One of these boats is visible in the mandala, being driven out to sea to be abandoned to the waves. This white monument still stands today It is the Amashogun Memorial Stele dedicated to Hojo Masako, wife and true power behind the first shogun of the Kamakura period, Minamoto no Yoritomo. She was the mother of the second and third shoguns. After Yoritomo's death, she was known as the Nan shogun. She came on pilgrimage from Kamakura to Kumano in 1218. There are many monuments to her in the Kumano area, and this is just one of them. It dates to the late Muromachi period, 13th century. Its shape is called Hokyo Into, so called because it held a sutra of the same name, the Karanda Mudra Dharani Sutra. It is originally a Chinese variant of the Indian stupa and was originally conceived as a cenotaph of the king of Wu Ye, Qian Liu. Here is the wonderful stupa again. The pilgrims passed their penultimate Oji shrine, Ichinono, depicted in our illustrated guide, and here. On the right side of this bridge, the pilgrims, there's the Oji. The pilgrims then start their climb up the Daimonzaka slope. This approach path to Nachi Grand Shrine and the Seigan Toji Temple is lined with stone paving. It's 600 meters long and has 267 steps. You can see the steps depicted there in the mandala. It's lined with 100 cedar trees, some of which are 800 years old. At the top of the slope is the Daimon Gate to Nachi. At the entrance to the slope, there is a tea house where you can rent these Heian period insect veils, so often seen in depictions of female pilgrims to Kumano. About 100 meters up the Daimonzaka slope, just above the 800-year-old husband and wife cedars, the Meoto Sugi, is the final Oji, Tabuke Oji, just remains today. Tabuke means tamuke, or to make offerings to Shinto or Buddhist deities, or to the deceased. We finally arrive at the Kumano Nachi Grand Shrine. The natural object of worship, of course, is the Nachi waterfall. And as depicted in our guide, the celebrated deities are the 12 gods of Kumano. The fourth shrine contains Fusumi no Okami, the Shinto god of this waterfall, Nachi, of this location. The Buddhist manifestation of that deity is the 1,000-armed Kannon. The shrine at the base of the waterfall contains the manifestation of Hiro, the flying dragon. It's understandable that pilgrims were struck with wonder when visiting this, the largest waterfall in Japan. Seigan Toji Temple was originally the Sente-do Hall, or the 1,000-armed Kannon Hall of Nachi Grand Shrine. After the separation of Shinto and Buddhism in the early Meiji period, it became the Seigan Toji Temple. It is the first temple of the 33-temple Saigoku Kannon pilgrimage. And it's depicted in the mandala alongside the waterfall itself, in which deities assist a pilgrim who's passed out from the cold, conducting his ablutions in the waters below the waterfall. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your pilgrimage to Kumano.